Okay, thank you all, and welcome to the Licensing Subcommittee. We are live on YouTube. First order of the business is we need to agree a chair for the meeting. If one of the councillors could nominate a chair, and another councillor please second the nomination.
I nominate Councillor Janice Howard to chair this meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Dehaney, are you happy to second that? You'll need to turn on your microphone to let us know, sir.
John, you need to turn on your mic and you need to turn on your video.
There's a man. Yes, I said I second the nomination of Councillor Janice Howard to chair the meeting. Is that okay?
Thank you very much. Councillor Howard, over to you.
Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting. As you've heard, I'm Councillor Janice Howard, and I will be chairing the meeting. I have with me Councillor John Dehaney and Councillor Stephen Allen Brittis, who are also on the subcommittee today. And I'd like everyone else to introduce themselves. If I can have the officers first and then the applicant, please.
Guy Bishop, legal advisor to the subcommittee.
Thank you, Chair. It's Caroline Shaki. I'm the licensing manager. I'll be presenting the case to you today. Thank you.
Hi, I'm PC John McGann. I'm one of the South West police licensing officers.
I'm Avril O'Brien. I'm one of the police officers for South West Licensing, the Metropolitan Police.
And now the applicant.
Hi, I am Andreas Milios / Andy Mills.
Lovely, thank you. I'm going to give notice that the hearing is being live streamed on the Council's YouTube channel. Please be aware that as the meeting is being held virtually, there might be a slight delay. Participants will be muted when they are not speaking to reduce background noise. If at any time anyone experiences any technical difficulties, they should let the clerk know. In the event any party to the hearing loses connection and is no longer present in the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting immediately for a few minutes while we resolve the issue. In the event the issue cannot be resolved, the meeting will be rescheduled for another date as soon as practicable. Can I just check if there are any declarations of interest from councillors or apologies for absence? No? Great. The subcommittee will follow the hearing procedures, a copy of which was included in the notice pack sent to all parties. If anyone has not received the papers, please speak now. I'd now like to ask the legal advisor to inform those present that the subcommittee had a briefing prior to this hearing to confirm the procedure and for clarification on any aspect of the application.
Yes, the committee always meets just before the meeting just to be able to ask any sort of procedural questions if needed. Really, it's an opportunity for them to read the papers and familiarise themselves with the hearing they're going to hear. No legal advice is given in that meeting. Okay, thanks.
And can I ask the licensing officer if there are any technical issues they feel should be brought to the panel's attention? You're on mute, Caroline.
Sorry, Chair. I wanted to give you the summary of the temporary vet notice and just to give you an overview of what you've got in front of you, members, if that's all right.
Certainly.
Yeah. All right. So, Chair, this is a temporary vet notice. It's not an application. It's a notice that you give under the Licensing Act if you want to give an event which is less than 499 people. So the licensing authority that received a temporary event notification from Andy Mills as a proposed event organizer, and is proposing to have live music at Morden Park in the Bandstand, and is proposing to have it on the Saturday 25th of June from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. He has stated that he intends to supply alcohol for consumption on the premises and also wanting to provide regulated entertainment. And as stated earlier, Chair, is asking for the maximum capacity of 499, which is what you can apply for on a temporary event notice. When we receive this notification, Chair, we have to consult with the police and environmental health. Metropolitan Police on the 9th of March made an objection to this 10, and their concern is that the prevention of crime and disorder and prevention of public nuisance would be undermined if this 10 was to be allowed. The police have also now supplied further supplementary evidence to their objection. Mr. Andy Mills has also responded to that and provided further information. We've not received any representation from environmental health in respect of this 10. The only other thing that was talked about was Mr. Andy Mills' change of name, and I'm sure you'll be able to give you further information if you wanted to clarify that, Chair, with him. But I know he did explain to him that he did change his name, and the application was for the temporary event notice. As far as we're concerned, it was legally applied for because he's applied for the actual name that is changed to as Andy Mills. So this is matter now because of their objection is before the committee today to make a decision after hearing all the evidence. And the options available to the subcommittee today is either to allow the activities to go ahead as applied for under the temporary event notice. The second option is for the committee to issue a counter notice under section 105(2) of the Licensing Act. If that was to be issued, then this event cannot proceed unless Mr. Mills appealed for it to the Magistrate Court. This is the notification as I understand it, Chair. I'm happy to answer any points of clarification at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As I explained at the outset, the hearing and order of speakers will be following the procedures included in your agenda pack. We will start with the presentation by the responsible authorities, the Metropolitan Police. And then I will take questions from the applicant and then questions by the subcommittee. So if I can ask John.
Thank you, Councillor. Right, Madam Chair, the police have very serious concerns that if this event is allowed to go ahead under a temporary event notice, it will seriously undermine the licensing objectives relating to the prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public nuisance. Morden Bandstand is in a very central location of Morden Park, which in itself is in a dense cluster area of suburban housing. Whilst Mr. Mills might be able to apply for a temporary event notice for 499, and in an event plan he sent today, he goes on about the area being fenced in, ticket limited to 450, and 49 people on site will be staff, of which there'll be 18 security with body cameras. While you'll be able to manage that within a fenced area, the concerns from the police are that more people will be able to gather in the green space outside of that area, which he will have absolutely no control over. Now, in recent years, Morden Park has had similar music festivals with slamming and Eastern Electrics, which in itself have caused a lot of crime and disorder and public nuisance. But with a temporary event notice, you're very limited to what you can do with that, councillor. You can't attach conditions to it like you can do with a premises license application, which is why the police feel that this should be a premises license application. Because with that, the operating schedule will be able to put measures in that will cover how the licensing objectives are going to be promoted. And with an event like this, we would expect an event management plan, which would cover any temporary structures on site, toilets for disabled toilets and normal toilets, electrical equipment, PA system, first aid, event control. And it would also have emergency procedures for any evacuation procedures. And also we would expect a child safety policy. Mr. Mills has not submitted any site plan, which would in itself cover the amount of bars that would be in situ and the location of them within the site. It would also cover the alcohol management plans, staff training, and how many personal license holders would be on site. We would also expect to see the waste management and noise management policy. And with an operating schedule, we'd be in a better position to agree conditions with the applicant to make sure that it would be a well-run, safe event. And with events like this, we would expect it then to be submitted to the safety advisory group, where you get more people who'd be able to involve in making sure that it would be a safe run event. Mr. Mills is or appears to be a very experienced DJ. He's got a very big following, and he's the loan director of a company called Raven the Park Limited, which is shown on Company's House. And the nature of the business is shown as activities of exhibition and fair organisers. So he's a man who has had previous involvement in organising events like this. And in December 2021, he applied to St. Albans and District Council for a premises licence for a similar event at a venue called Springfield Farm in St. Albans. That application was refused. He's also been involved in recent large music events, and on New Year's Day this year, he was involved in Raven the Park at a New Year's Day warehouse rave, which was held at a venue in Croydon. And that showed a host of DJs in the lineup. He's looking to run this event in Morden Park from 5 o'clock in the evening until 11 o'clock at night. And he's saying that he's going to be the only artist playing, which I find very hard to believe that one artist is going to play continuously for 6 hours. So in summary, Madam Chair, Andy Mills is a professional DJ who's got a very big following on Twitter and on other social media platforms. He hasn't provided a satisfactory risk assessment to show that this would be a safe run event. This event is totally unsuitable for a temporary event notice, and it should be by premises license application. So I would ask you to issue a counter notice against this event.
Thank you. Can I have any questions the applicant may have for the police? You're on mute.
Hello? There you are. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed by this situation because I do loads of these events, one every other month at a bar called Lit in Clapham. I normally have around 300, 280 people. My event on the 1st of January was in Mitcham at Shack 89, which was a banqueting suite. There was no problems at all. We had about 360, 370 in there, and I had about 20 security body cams. Also, I had the K9 dog for searches, wands and stuff like that, just to keep everything safe. I'm just a bit disappointed by this situation by the Met Police, to be honest. That's all I have to say, really. I don't really have any questions, and I'm looking to work with the Met and Merton licensing to move forward, whatever the situation is today.
Okay, I will now take any questions from my fellow members of the subcommittee.
Yes, if I can ask a question
Yeah.
of the police. In your mind, John, as between a permanent license and a temporary license, what are you looking for? What kind of pressure are you looking for on an operator that lends them to go towards a temporary license? And do you normally question as to why they've not gone for a permanent license?
Well, we do, Councillor, but I'm not sure whether Mr. Mills' experience up in St Albans and applying for a premises licence there has had any influence on whether he's applied for a temporary event notice down here, because a lot of work goes into a premises licence application, you know, with event management plans. And this is where we get a chance, which we've done in the past with other big operators, sitting down with them before the event weeks and months in advance, so we can go through what we have concerns about and see if there's any way of working around the operating schedule to help alleviate those concerns.
I notice Mr. Milos has his hand raised.
I'd just like to say, when me and John spoke on the phone, he said my application for Springfield Farm was very, very good, and he was impressed with it. The reason that my application at Springfield Farm got refused because the lane leading up to the site was damaged by weather and trucks going up and down to the fishery, and that's why the application was refused, because the site wasn't fit to be used.
Councillor Dehaney, do you have any questions?
Right, now have you had an event with 499 people or more on a temporary license? Did you hear my question?
That's for the police, we're questioning.
No, not for the police, for Mr. Milos. Can you answer?
I've done an event in Croydon at Shack 89.
Yes.
That was in a licensed premises, and I do an event every other month in a lit bar in Clapham. I've never had one bit of trouble at any of the events or anything bad at all.
But with not as many as
Chair, these are questions to the police.
Yes, these are questions to the police.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, that's what I said. Can you ask John McGann?
Oh, I see. Okay, sorry. Sorry, officer, have you had an experience with events at more than 499 people in a park? We had to control a situation like that before.
Yes, we've had. Sorry.
And what's your experience in control?
My experience for events like this, even under a premises license, it's very hard to control the amount of people who attend these events because it's in an open park. Whereas Mr. Mills talks about licensed premises, it's easier to control the entrance and egress of people because you'll have a way in and a way out through a doorway. In a park, you don't have that.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Do I have any other questions from Councillor or Councillor Dehaney?
Still for the police or for Mr.
The police. We'll move on to the applicant in a moment.
No more questions for the police.
Right. I have one question for the police. In your experience, when people apply for this temporary event notice, do they usually provide more information than we currently have in our pack?
For events like this, yes. Because in a situation like this, Councillor, we normally have contact before they put in the temporary event notice, and we're able to communicate better with them then, because the first communication I had was Mr. Mills is when he gets my objection, you know, and we could have had opportunity to discuss this days or weeks in advance. To be able to relay the concerns I'm relaying to you now and maybe advise him on the best way to work around them.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, I would like to invite the applicant to have their presentation and their say.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Basically, I've been doing the events, like I said, every once a month. I do an event, it's called Andy Mills and Friends. basically what I wanted to do was Andy Mills and Friends in the park. 400, maybe 420 tickets. It would be an exclusive event. Basically, no one else would be able to enter. The map that I've made basically it explains itself. It's got the toilets on there. It's got the entrance. It's got the fire exits. It's got everything on it, basically. I've done a risk assessment basically at the time, which I thought was appropriate for there. I've been over to the site myself 4 or 5 times and walked around and seen what was what for exits and muddy patches and potholes and stuff, and the route in and the route out to make everything safe, which I will do to the edge where the college is, the train station with stewards when people are coming in and when they're leaving. I'll put some tower lights in as well, so when it gets to dusk, it will be lit up very well. Like I said, security with the body cams, maybe a canine dog to be next to where the searches are, amnesty bins. I'll have paramedics. My bar staff will have refused registers. The bars will have CCTV on. There'll be CCTV on the exits and on the entrance as well. Just to make it as safe as possible. And the main reason I've gone for such a small event, first of all, is to try and build a relationship with Merton Licensing. I talked to the conservators from Mitcham Common, and I've actually got an email from them saying I can use Mitcham Common, but I was going to do that after this smaller event, basically to build a relationship with Merton. So I've got that all passed off by the conservators from Mitcham Common. But yeah, I just wanted to start smaller with this one. I didn't want to really go too big like all the other people have there and just taken over the place, really. I wanted to go nice and small, build a relationship with you guys and try and build some longevity. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask if the police have any questions for the applicant?
Just one question. Mr. Mills mentions about a site plan, which I don't think I've had sight of one of them.
The site plan has been emailed. It's of the bandstand. It's got the red fencing line around it, the toilets. It's just basically a plan of what the event will look like.
I haven't seen it in any agenda, or I haven't had an email with that, Mr. Mills.
Well, I have sent it, the application. I think Caroline has seen it as well.
I can assist members. Yes, Mr. Mills has sent it to us, but what I think what's appeared is it's not been shared with the police, but I can forward that information on for the police to consider it.
Should it not be in the agenda for the hearing?
It was sent today, this morning. Is that the one that you're referring to, Mr. Mills?
Yes.
No, it's a plan. It's a plan. He's saying that shows the plan of the site with where the fencing is going to be, and it should have the entrance and exit that he mentions, and also the location of any bars.
Yeah, I've sent all that over.
Mr. Mills, can I just double check if that's the information you sent this morning?
Yes.
I never sent it this morning. I sent it at the start when I sent off the 10s.
Right, so if you sent it at the start with a temporary event notice, the police should have had the same information when it was sent out for consultation. Okay,
it has been sent 100%.
But it should be in the agenda for today as well. The councillors should have sight of that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go for an application and not send a map or a plan. That would be silly.
Right. Unless if we adjourn, and I'd have to check where that information. Did you send it to the licensing men inbox, Mr. Mills?
It got sent with the 10s.
Right.
If you haven't received it, I can send it now when we come offline, and when you have your review, you can have a look at it. But I did send it.
Okay. I don't know, Claire, if you could, I would have to ask to find out what was received with the temporary event notice, because we've shared the information that I believe the officers have seen, but I can check that information for you, Chair and members, and forward it.
Yeah, we need to.
I will definitely do that.
Thank you, Chair. Just bear with me.
John, do you have any more questions for the applicant?
No, Councillor, no more questions. Thank you.
So now I'd like to ask Councillor Alan British and Councillor Dehaney if they have any questions for the applicant. Councillor Alan British?
Yes.
Yeah. One of the concerns we have, Mr. Mills, is your popularity, as the John McCann has said. You've got a good following. That's good for you. You've got a big Twitter following. We know the Bandstand. We're councillors. We've had memorial services there. We've had award services there. We've had civic ceremonies there. And it's a lovely bandstand in the middle of a park. And it's got a nice privet hedge all around. What's your thinking behind, you said 450 plus 49 staff, 18 security staff. If people hear about this, there'll be people who will hear about it and come to hear you, but without joining in the parameter of the event itself. Your music will still be heard. If you're a popular DJ, people will still know it's you. So what makes you so sure that only those with tickets will turn up and others won't just congregate around the park and have a free ride, as it were?
The event will be exclusive, so only ticket holders will be able to get in. Obviously, the park is going to be open on the day, like when the park is open, when the other festivals are like Southbound and stuff like that. It's like you could have a 4999 license and then 8,000 people turn up. Like, it's just one of those things, I suppose. But I think with my crowd, I normally have about 280, 300 if you're lucky. And that's maybe with like a 30, 40 walk up on top of that. And they're like normally family and friends and like people that follow me. I think you're thinking bigger than what I am at this point. I'm mute. Yeah, I think this whole, you guys are thinking it's a lot bigger than what it is. And it's not that big at all. It's not that big at all what you think. And obviously the bandstand, it's a lovely spot. It's a lovely structure. And it's perfect for what I wanted to do in the park. Obviously, it saves me bringing structures and stuff like that in as well. But if need be to make the perimeter bigger with the Harris fencing and stuff like that, I could do that with more K9 units and security and stewards. That's what I would suggest. Thanks.
Councillor Dehaney?
Yes, Mr. Mills, that you said that people entering have tickets, but this is an open park. How do you stop people without tickets from entering? And this is my huge problem. I just don't see how you're going to stop it. Can you tell us how you can prevent people without tickets from entering the park?
There will be a Harris fencing around the outside of the event. And if you haven't got a ticket, you won't be allowed in.
A Harris fencing. That's a big park, isn't it?
Sorry?
There's a big park.
Yes, it's a big park, the same when other events do events there. There's going to be Harris fencing, stewards, security with body cams, walking up and down. I don't think anyone's going to walk past the big Alsatian K9 dog, are they? To get into somewhere. Or security.
Mm. And that's your way of preventing people without tickets from entering?
Well, if you haven't got a ticket, you're not going to be allowed in. That's all I can say, really. And the security are there to stop that. Like to stop anybody at any event. If they haven't got a ticket, they're not going to get in, are they?
I've just noticed John McGann hand raised. You're on mute.
I have a quick question when the other councillors are finished, Councillor.
Okay, thank you. So, John, do carry on.
You're still muted.
I said, I find it difficult to believe that you can control people stop people from entering an open park the size of, you know, Morden Park, if they are determined enough to enter. But you know, you have done this event before in space the size of the park, open, and you have managed to control. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I've done the event outdoors. I work closely with the NCP people. My friend, he owns the NCP car parks. I do them in the outdoor car parks and stuff like that as well. And we don't really normally have that problem. If people haven't got a ticket, they don't turn up. It's as simple as that, really. And if people do turn up, they obviously get turned away. Obviously, you're going to get people walking their dogs through the park and stuff like that, but it's an open park like it is when any other event is there. Yeah. If you guys got any other methods that they use at the other events and festivals that will help this event, I'm willing to pursue them and obviously to make it safer and make it better, whatever you guys think's best. But this is what I would do. The K9 units with security, a bigger perimeter for a Harris fencing maybe, so they can't get as close. Thank you.
Okay.
Stephen, do you have any other questions? I sort of have a question around safety, in that I appreciate people will be arriving from 5 p.m. in dribs and drabs, but if, as you say, the event will end at 11 o'clock at night, that's a huge dispersal of people into the town centre. What is your plan to manage that?
The stewards and some of the security will be pushed up towards where the leisure centre is and the college, and along the main road where the South Morden station is. And the event will be finishing at around 10:20, 10:30 to allow you half an hour for the dispersal.
Thank you. John, you had a quick question?
Yes, Councillor. Mr. Mills, on the 9th of March, you sent PC Avril O'Brien an email, and I'll just read out some of the opening paragraphs of that. She sent this email to me where it does have the map of the site, which I forwarded to Caroline just now. But you said, "Hi, PC Avril, hope you're well. Below is a quick mock-up of my plan, just so you can get an idea. Also attaches a map and small risk assessment. I always work towards a best practical means defense policy with my events and follow the license objectives, however big or small the event." Then you go on to say, "I normally do events from 4,999 to 9,999 guests. But this event will be very small with a 499 ticket cap." Do you remember sending that email?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So this goes against what you said about you being very small. You're actually very big, aren't you? If you normally do events that has between 4,999 and 9,999.
No, I normally work for the events. I'm normally the production manager for the sites for other people's events that are that big.
Okay. Right. That's my question, Councillor. Thank you.
Thank you. Final call for any other questions. In which case, I will ask the licensing officer for any comments or clarification.
It's just to say, obviously, with the temporary event notice, and it's through the legal chair, just to point out that it's a notification. We don't normally ask for risk assessments on a temporary event notice because it's not an application. We don't normally ask for plans. It is a notification. There's no legal requirement. So that's why, obviously, that probably information is not shared. But when it's received, obviously, the responsible authority can ask for this information to be sent in. But the legal requirement is somebody submits a temporary event notice. They don't need to provide a risk assessment. They don't need to provide a plan as part of that notice because it's just a notification. That's the only thing I wanted to flag up, Chair.
Thank you. And can I ask the legal advisor for any comments or clarifications?
No, I haven't got any legal advice to give you that may not be, it'd be up to you to ask me any questions you feel you need to have clarification on when we do deliberations. Well, sorry, when you do deliberations. I can't think of anything. Obviously, you've got to look at it from the point of view of promoting the licensing objectives, as you do with all applications normally. You obviously need to make a decision that's both appropriate and proportionate and comply with any case law that's relevant, as well as having regard to the guidance if necessary.
Thank you. Can I ask the applicant for any further closing statements?
I'd just like to ask the Metropolitan Police and the licensing if they have any better ideas than mine, basically about stopping other passers-by and people trying to get into the event. What would be a good sort of tactic sort of thing, just for my own sort of knowledge, if they have any better ideas.
Which brings us neatly to the closing comments and statements by the police, which I'm sure John will answer.
Madam Chair, this is not the place to give any pre-application advice or post-application advice, because on behalf of the police, I'm objecting to this event, and I don't have anything further to add.
Thank you. The subcommittee are about to retire to closed session, and I invite the legal advisor and the clerk to join us to provide advice. Once I have closed the hearing, our clerk will disconnect you from the meeting room. All parties will receive a written copy of the decision notice within 5 working days. I therefore close the hearing and thank you all for your attendance. Thank you.